Hi there, smart drivers. Talking to you tonight about highway driving skills. 2 skills that you can put in place that will make you a safer, smarter driver. Smarter highway driving, 2 skills that you need in place, and it is about space management and about observation. All right, so those of you who are new to Smart Drive Test, my name is Rick August. I was a long-haul truck driver in the 1990s. Became a licensed commercial driving instructor in 1997, and I'm actually a licensed commercial driving instructor in 3 places, Victoria, Australia, here in the province of British Columbia, and in the province of Ontario as well. 2006, I graduated from the University of Melbourne in Australia with my doctorate in legal history. Legal history is the study of policing, courts, and prisons, and my expertise is in policing as it relates to traffic, oddly enough, legal history. Prisons is also pretty fun too. I mean, there was the early prisons are not what we see today, for sure. More like solitary confinement for prisoners. And then the courts. While I was going to university, I drove buses for Greyhound, one of the regional bus lines. And in 2015, I started the online YouTube channel and the business, and it has been wildly more successful than I could have ever imagined. If you want to know more about me, know more about the Smart Drive Test business, you can check out the autobiography over at the Smart Drive Test website there. All right, a couple of new videos this week, last week rather. 5 city driving tips, definitely check that out. Corey will put the link up in the description for you there. And as well, one of the shorts, blocking an intersection. If you enter an intersection where traffic is backed up from the other side of the intersection into the intersection, you enter that intersection and then the traffic light turns red while you're sitting in the intersection, you are not going to pass your driver's test. That is an automatic fail on a driver's test. And as well, Corey will put up the video for you on 10 automatic fails on a driver's test. So have a look at that. Also have a look at the 2 other videos that Corey can put up for us. Top 10 common mistakes on a driver's test. Not shoulder checking is probably the #1 most common mistake. And as well, 10 chance events that could happen on your driver's test. So have a look at those 3 videos if you're getting ready for that. All right, the faster you go, the more space you want between your vehicle and other vehicles in front of you. You want that 3 to 4 second following distance in front of your vehicle minimum. You want to be looking farther down the road. If you are touching the brake a lot, you are not driving fast enough. And as well, the other piece about this is if you're going around curves and corners on highways, you do not want to be on the brakes in the curve, especially now that we're coming into wintertime, slippery conditions, potential black ice early in the morning, and those types of things. Going around curves and corners on highways, you want to slow down before the curve, and then you want to power through the curve. And when I say power through, I don't mean accelerating like a crazy NASCAR driver. You want to be having power to the wheel. So you just want to be on the accelerator slightly, and you want to just have enough power that you're pushing the vehicle through the curve or corner out on the highway. So managing space, okay? This is the #1 skill that you can implement that is going to keep you safe. And as was mentioned earlier, the #1 crash in North America is rear end crashes because people are following too close. And when you're following too close, you are now reactionary. And when you're reactionary, you are giving up control of your vehicle. And we want to maintain control of our vehicle. And the way that we do that is by having space, because space buys us time. Time buys us options. Options prevent crashes. Retired, my friend, how are you? Hello, hello. All right, stay out of the clusters. I don't know what force it is on our planet that causes people to get down the highway and they drive in groups like NASCAR drivers. They think that they are racing and that they are drafting off the vehicle in front of them. Stay out of those clusters. If you can drive in the spaces between the clusters, you are going to greatly reduce your chances of being involved in a crash, okay? It's a domino effect. You want that 3 to 5 second following distance under ideal conditions. If the conditions of the roadway deteriorate, it's windy, curvy, there's a lot of traffic congestions, it's raining, it's nighttime, it's snowing, there's ice on the roadways, then you want to increase that following distance to keep yourself safe on the roadways. Okay, predicting road user behavior on freeways. Now we're talking about freeways, multi-lane roads, and those types of things. You want to identify where the on and off ramps are. These are very easy to locate because they're often accompanied by an overpass, by a bridge, all right? And you're going to see people getting off and you're going to see people getting on. And we had a discussion last week during the live stream about the old style of road architecture where it's the on and off ramp are combined to be one. And Corey was saying that there's a lot of those around Winnipeg, where he lives in Winnipeg, Manitoba, here in Canada, and there's still some around. There's still some relics of these things, but they are being replaced as they're reconstructing the roadways. And again, the rule of thumb, as Corey pointed out last week, is that the accelerating cars, the cars that are coming off the highway, want to pull in behind the cars that are accelerating, and that way you can decelerate as the other car is pulling out and getting going. All right? But you need to identify these places along the roadway, because for all intents and purposes, it's not what you would consider a conventional intersection, but it's still an intersection on the highway, and this is where you're going to intersect with other traffic, okay? So there's people who potentially could be going too slow on the highway. So the other piece, as you get more and more experience, you're going to be able to identify relative speeds in relation to your vehicle. So you're going to be able to look at other traffic. You're going to be able to say, oh, wait a minute, that person is going faster than me. I'm going to get out of the hammer lane. You can look in your rear view mirror and you can say, oh, that person coming up behind me is going faster than me. I better get out of the lane and let them pass, and those types of things. And as well, on ramps and off ramps, especially on ramps, when people are accelerating and they're trying to merge out onto the highway, you can be looking down the roadway and you can say, oh, there's the on ramp. There's a car coming out. I'm going to get over early and allow that person to merge out, especially if it's a big truck coming out on a truck stop or those types of things. There's lots of places like that in the States and out on the Trans-Canada Highway, along the interstates and whatnot. Interstates in the US, obviously. So you want to help out these larger vehicles because they don't have the acceleration that a car will. All right, shoulder checking, hold your course. Yes, on highways, you do want to shoulder check when you're lane changing because people do sit in your blind areas for whatever reason. All right, shoulder checking, you need to hold the steering wheel straight and you need to make a quick shoulder check. As I said, not shoulder checking is to driving what not checking to see if a weapon is loaded is to gun safety. Why on any planet would you move a 2,500, 4,500 pound vehicle at speed, change lanes, change directions, and not check to see if somebody is in your blind area? All right, and this is the bus crash that I was telling you about at the beginning that I'm working on currently. This is what happened. You can see very clearly in the video because there's a street security camera, and you can see the bicycle right next to the door of the bus. All the bus driver had to do was shoulder check out through the doors of the bus and would have seen the cyclist and said, hey, wait a minute, that cyclist is not slowing down. So this is the reason you need to shoulder check. Now, you want proper mirror adjustment, and convex mirrors obviously will help you out with looking into your blind areas, but this does not eliminate the need to shoulder check. And we have blind spot detectors on vehicles now. I like blind spot detectors. They're a backup for shoulder checking in case you miss something, so I really like them. I do advocate for that technology. Cruise control, use cruise control, especially if you're driving for more than an hour or two, okay? Cruise control. Learn how to cancel the cruise control. Too many people I've talked to have said, oh, you know, I don't feel like I'm in control. The reason they don't feel like they're in control is because they don't know how to cancel the cruise control. If there's anything else you learn how to do with the cruise control, learn how to cancel it quickly. And many newer vehicles will have a cancel button. Yes, the brake will work, but the brake is not your best way to cancel the cruise control. Hit the cancel button. That just turns it off, okay? In the buggy, the manual transmission, if I just touch, like ever so slightly touch the clutch, it will automatically disengage the cruise control. So that's what you want to learn how to do. Okay, if you're on cruise control, you can just basically set it a little bit below what the traffic flow is. Stay in the right-hand lane, and if you're passing, you don't need to disconnect the cruise control and speed up and get past them. You can just drive past them with the cruise control. Okay, all right. Okay, roadside assistance. If you break down on the highway and it's an emergency stop, then you may have to pull over on the side of the road. But unless it is an absolutely emergency, okay, Do not pull over on the side of the highway. If you can limp the car up the road and get off on a side street, or you can get off on an off ramp, that is going to be much safer than pulling over on the side of the roadway. Trust me, I've been broken down on the side of the highway a few times over the course of my driving career. It is a very dangerous place, okay? And there's crashes that are specifically called sitting ducks. People on the side of the highway, they get run into by other traffic. All right, if you do break down, make sure you have a cell phone charger in your car, a cable rather. Most of us do in this day and age. Even I have retrofitted the buggy, so I have a USB charging cord in the car, and I have it all the time, because if your cell phone's not charged, you can't call for assistance, all right? Put the hood up, turn your four-way flashers on if you're still with the car. Call CAA, call AAA. Okay, the Automobile Association of America, the Canadian Automobile Association. You know, if you're not good at changing a tire, you're not good at those types of things, you're one of these people who has the habit of running your vehicle on down to empty, right? You're not one of these people that keeps the top half full, you keep the bottom half full, right? So know that, okay? Have a charging cable in your vehicle. The universal symbol for being broke down in your car is the hood up, so know that. Okay, merging correctly, continuity lines, understand all of this. Corey will put up the video for you on that. And I know for new drivers, this is intimidating, that they do not like merging out onto a highway or roadway. Okay, continuity lines. These lines right here, they are half as long and twice as wide as normal lane markings in the center here. Am I pointing at the right one here? I think this one here. Yes, these are continuity lines. These are regular lines that separate lanes of traffic, all right? Continuity lines indicate to the driver that your lane is either going to exit or it's going to end. So take note of continuity lines when you're on highways merging and those types of things. So good luck on your driver's test, and remember, pick the best answer, not necessarily the right answer. Live questions and answers, pass your driver's test, safer, smarter driver, and start a career or as a bus or truck driver. And one of the points that I want to emphasize about defensive driving, being a safer, smarter driver, is defensive driving is to put in place habits and skills that will keep you safe when you make mistakes and when other people make mistakes. And you can be right or you can be dead right. Okay? Just because you have the right of way doesn't mean that you're going to avoid a crash if you continue. As I say, you know, traffic laws are all great and good and protect us for the most part, but unfortunately, traffic laws no more prevent crashes than criminal law prevents crime. It still happens. Traffic crashes still happen. And Lorena's here tuning in from Regina, Saskatchewan. And the reason that I'm saying this is due to the fact of the case that I'm working on right now with the lawyers. Transit bus driver driving through an intersection, saw the cyclist because the cyclist was 3 cars ahead waiting at the traffic light, proceeds through the intersection. On the other side of the intersection is construction where it goes down to one very narrow skinny lane which the bus can barely get through. Well, the cyclist proceeds to go through the intersection. The bus comes up and passes the cyclist right at the entrance into the construction. And of course, the bus driver hits the cyclist, knocks the person off the bicycle, and they sustain fractures and a brain injury because unfortunately the cyclist wasn't wearing a helmet. And I do advocate wearing helmets when you're riding bicycles or riding motorcycles. Ride helmets, or not ride helmets, wear helmets. They're going to protect you in the event of a crash. Oddly enough, the first day I ever put a bicycle helmet on was the first day I ever got into a crash. A woman made a right-hand turn right in front of me and went up the side of the vehicle, came down, ripped the mirror off with my shoulder, laying on the pavement, of course. But, you know, it was partly my fault because I know now with my years of experience that when I'm riding my bicycle, when I'm driving a car, I am aware of what is around me, 360 degrees. And in a bicycle, you know, it's one of those advanced skills of paying attention to what is happening when you're driving. And now I probably would have avoided that crash on my bicycle because I would be aware that I'm going through the intersection. It was just after an intersection. I'm gaining speed and this car beside me is slowing down and coming down beside me. Now I probably would have got on the brakes a lot sooner and probably avoided the crash, because I would have heard and paying attention and been aware and on red alert that, wait a minute, that car is slowing down and that car is probably going to be turning, and they probably would have had their signal on. I would have had a quick shoulder check. Yes, they have their signal on and they're going to be turning, and I probably would have avoided the crash. So you need 360-degree awareness around your vehicle. You need to be scanning, and you need to be interpreting what the traffic patterns are around you and in your vicinity, and in doing so, you're going to be able to predict the individual actions of road users and prevent crashes. Because just because you have the right of way, you can be right or you can be dead right. We want to prevent crashes. We want to protect ourselves, and we want to protect other people on the roadway. Because how bad are you going to feel if you hit somebody else and you injure them, or worse yet, you kill them? So we bear responsibility as drivers. And in the they call it the deposition in some cases, discovery, we call it discovery here in Canada. It's the same thing as being deposed on the stand under oath. And what happens is that the driver of the bus was defiant, saying it wasn't my fault, the cyclist lane ended and I had the right of way. Well, it doesn't matter, the cyclist got hurt, because all the bus driver had to do was slow the bus, wait for the cyclist to go in front of them, and be delayed by a couple of minutes because the cyclist was going to go through the construction first. So that's unfortunately what you need to do sometimes, and sometimes you're going to be delayed. Now, if it makes you feel better when all of that happens, you can cuss and say profane words and say something bad about their mother and those types of things, and maybe that will make you feel better. But we need to avoid crashing into other people's. That's our responsibility. Kev, I know that well, recovering from a wreck that happened a month ago. I'm sorry to hear that, my friend. I hope you're okay. You're recovering and all those types of things. Yeah, because having a crash and whatnot, these things can be avoided. We do know, as driving authorities, traffic safety authorities, and police officers and other people who are involved in traffic safety, that 80% of the crashes that happen on our roadways are driver error. Okay, so this is the piece that I want to emphasize again and again and again about defensive driving. It's about protecting other people on the roadway for when they make mistakes or do something goofy. It's also for when we make mistakes as drivers, as pedestrians, as cyclists, as motorcycle riders, because we get tired, we make mistakes, we're traveling at speed. People say, oh, we could eliminate crashes. You're never going to eliminate crashes. It's the same thing as if you put the coffee table in the living room, that you're eventually going to bang your knee on it. It's just what happens. Okay, it's inevitable. You put human beings in motion, we are going to bang into something. We are going to crash into something. Know that. And we are not going to eliminate car crashes. And there was an article today that I need to do something with, maybe make a video about it. But the UN in 2013 said we're going to cut global traffic crashes by 50%. No, you're not. In 10 years, you are not going to reduce world traffic crashes in the next century by 50%. They only reduced them by 5%, which is still an incredible number. You think of that globally in terms of the number of traffic crashes. And this Vision Zero, this is completely unrealistic, that they continue to lower and reduce urban road speeds. This is not gonna fix the problem. You need better infrastructure. You need better driver education. You need to have people being more aware when they're driving, because they're not. And auto manufacturers bear a responsibility around this as well, because we're making cars that allow people to be more and more and more disengaged from the task of driving. And that's just a simple fact of motor vehicles. Kev, most accidents I see are rear enders. It's always because everyone is huddled together. And Kev, you're absolutely right about that, because the number one reported crash in North America, so Canada and the United States, more so than windshield reported claims. So think of how many times you get a cracked windshield. is rear end crashes. So that tells us that people are following too close. Too close. And you need to open that space up in front of your vehicle, because if you can have that space in front of your vehicle, you now have time to read traffic patterns, predict the actions of individual road users, and respond to what's going on. Not react, not hope on a wing and a prayer that you can react in time to get your vehicle stopped for whatever's going on in front of you, okay? Because space gives you time, time gives you options, options prevent crashes. You want to read and respond. You don't want to be reactionary and retaliatory to what's going on in the driving environment. Brooklyn, I'm a new driver, and when I make mistakes, it makes me not want to drive anymore, but I'm trying to learn from my mistakes to get better. And Brooklyn, you know, we're going to make mistakes, especially as new drivers. But if you're learning, you're here on the channel, you're listening to me give you advice and tips and ideas about driving, you're already 400 miles ahead of everybody else who's not doing anything except out driving their car. So you're here getting some information. You're doing the right thing. You are truly a smart driver, my friend, and thank you for saying that. And the other piece is, you know, people argue with me all the time here on the channel in comments and those types of things, and they say I don't know what I'm talking about, and that's okay, because they don't know who I am. They don't know what kind of experience I have. And you know, they argue with me about right of way, and they argue with me about red light and when you can be in the intersection and those types of things. The other piece about intersections is 40% of crashes happen at intersections. More, you know, almost half. It's like 42% is the number of crashes that happen at intersections. So at intersections, you need to be more aware of what's going on. You need to be mapping the intersection. What kind of intersection is it? Is it a complex intersection, simple intersection? Do we have other people at the intersection? And where are those other people, and where are they moving? Because remember, traffic is dynamic. It's not static. It doesn't stay in one place. People are going to move, and those people that are moving, are you tracking those people when they're crossing your path of travel? That's what you want to do, and that's what's going to keep you safe when you're driving. Elevator Fan is here. Hello, Jackson. Hello, my friend Bridget. Thank you for your driving content. Thanks for your videos. I still have a lot to learn, but I'm happy I can now legally drive. This was my second attempt, and that is absolutely awesome, Bridget, that you passed your driver's test. Congratulations on that. 2 thumbs up. Stellar, stellar win. Awesome. Jackson, guess what? Not feeling well right now. I have a chest cold. Elevator Fan, feel better, my friend. That's terrible that you're not feeling so great here at the Christmas season. Jamie, thank you so much for the high five. Bridget, ignore those trolls. They have no life but to argue online with people. Yes. Bridget, you're absolutely true about that. Usually if they have a go at people or go at the community here, then I just delete them. Is what happens. But, you know, sometimes I like to entertain them, you know, but usually you figure out in the end that they're kind of like wrestling the pig in mud, right? You realize that you're not going to win and that the pig actually likes it, is the way I kind of look at the trolls. You know, Jackson, you drove in the rain. That is awesome, my friend. Congratulations. Awesome, awesome. Really great. Kev, I remember my dad had a guy run a red light and hit him at 50 miles an hour. That case was never solved because eyewitnesses said my dad had the red light. Yeah, and this is the thing about case analysis, right? In the aftermath, it's what's written down, whether you have videos. I mean, it's certainly a lot easier now. This case that I'm working on, everything is on video. All the transit buses in the larger cities and larger metropolitans are all fitted with cameras. So most of the crash is on video. And this is the other piece, is that right-of-way, rules, laws, defensive driving techniques, there are so many things that go into a case. And the other piece is that, you know, I forget what I was questioned last week on the community tab about driving, about, oh, just, you know, if you get hit, then you can settle the case. You know, most of these cases, before people see a settlement from a legal case, it is going to be 5 to 10 years minimum. 5 to 10 years. Most of these cases that I work on are 5 to 8 years old. They happened 5 to 8 years ago. I mean, I just worked on one a few months ago that happened in 2017. So 2017, that's 6, almost 7 years ago now. And this still hasn't gone to court or gone to settlement. And most of these cases eventually settle out of court. So know that if you think that you're going to get some big settlement out of a car crash because you won the settlement, it's going to be a long time before you see money from that. So know that. Kev, I barely have had to drive in the rain. Never driven in snow either. But you can do it, my friend. Awesome. Lorena, thank you for the hearts and the thumbs up there. Kev, and my brother now records his driving. Yeah, and a lot of people, that's the other piece is not just, a lot of people are running dash cams in their vehicles now too. I run a dash cam in the buggy just about all the time. So yeah, that's what happens. So, and that's the thing is that when needs to be crash analysis done, they call me. Right? I'm the one that analyzes the crash, analyzes the paperwork, looks at the video. I'm the one that writes the reports. So that's who they call when they need expert testimony on what happened and who potentially is at fault and those types of things. So they call people like me to write those reports. And engineers. I have a colleague, a friend of mine, who he's also involved in the business as well. Right now, driving at night is inevitable. Especially where I live, because it gets dark at like 3:30, which is crazy, and it doesn't get light again until 8 o'clock in the morning. So you do need to drive at night. Some couple of little tips about driving at night. Make sure you clean your windshield, with paper towel or a rag and Windex or vinegar or whatnot. That will stop the reflection coming off the other lights and those types of things, because what happens is if the windshield is dirty, the glass is dirty on your vehicle, the light from other cars will refract. That's the thing, like through a prism, and it goes into your eyes and makes you really tired. So if you can keep the glass clean, that's going to help you out as well. Use some of that Windex and whatnot, and clean the lights on your car, because the farther you get away from cities and residual light like overhead lamps and those types of things, the more you're going to rely on your headlights. And the more you rely on your headlights aren't very good at lighting up things unless you have some of those crazy LED new lights that, burn the retinas out of other car drivers. That happens. Anna, having my driving test today. Yes, you had your driving test, or you're having your driving test, Anna? Kev, you're in Philadelphia there. I had my license for a couple of years now. Awesome. Curio tuning in from Minnesota. Hello, my friend. Diamonds. Failed my first road test. We started with the parallel parking. I parked but hit the cones while driving out, so I did not get to have the actual road test. Sad. Diamond, we're very confident that you're going to get it next time, okay? Don't beat yourself up about it. It is not something that reflects on who you are as a person, so know that, okay? Kev, yeah, driving at night is nice. I used to commute back home from 7 p.m. From college in the winter. It makes 65 miles. I like I-95. Yeah, I miss the interstates in the U.S. I thoroughly enjoy driving on the interstates in the U.S. and any freeways. I just, sometimes you get some good music on the radio there, and cruise control and those types of things. Eric, hello, my friend. Awesome. Lots of people here. Okay, so we're going to get over to the... Awesome. Rawson, cyclists sometimes can be in the wrong. Rawson, yes, a lot of people, not just cyclists, can be in the wrong. But I will tell you, Rawson, that it's not just you, but a lot of people dislike cyclists. Anytime that I post a question about cyclists on the community tab, there is vitriol. That means there is a lot of anger around cyclists, and the same thing with pedestrians. But we all make mistakes. Motorcycle riders, people on scooters, skateboards, kids, pedestrians, cyclists, those types of things, they all make mistakes, right? So Luke, tips after a car accident that was major. Okay, so Luke, major. Yeah, if you're going to convalesce and you've been in a car crash, it's going to be some time before you're comfortable being back in a car. So basically, one of the things you're going to have to do Luke, just let me ask this question. Do you have a lot of anxiety around getting back in the car and driving? Have you driven since the crash, or are we talking about a friend? All right. Amy, since I got my driver's license, I have yet to drive on the highway. The hubby loves driving on the highway. Yes, well, Amy, you can definitely convince him to let you do that. Driving on the highway, once you do it a couple of times, you're going to say, hey, this is a lot of fun because we're not in stop and go traffic. And so you can get out there and get on cruise control and just relax, turn on some good music and those types of things. And, you know, some people just do that to get out there and unwind. That's actually what they do. They just go out and go for a drive. Elevator, if you were staying at a hotel, make your reservation ahead because it would be busy on the holidays. Absolutely. And that is an excellent point that Elevator fan made sure that you book your hotels early. 2020, when we drove across Canada, we came back through Canada. I made sure I sat down in 2 or 3 days before I left on the trip to go, that I booked every hotel. I knew how far I could drive in a day. Most people, you know, if you're pushing it, you're running 8-9 hours in a day. You can run, you know, 500, 600 miles in a day. Pretty easy, and you know when to book your hotels and whatnot. And there were hotels that I was standing in where there were other people asking if there were hotel rooms available, and they said, oh my God, I've been to 8 or 9 hotels and nothing's available. Yes, you have to make a reservation in the summertime and when it's busy around the holidays and whatnot. Retired, I have a 300-mile trip coming up. Should I travel very early in the morning or later in the day, traveling on Saturday? Retired, if you're traveling mostly on the interstates and those types of things, you're going to be okay. Oh, retired, you're in Victoria, aren't you? Let me just remind me where you are again, and where are you going? You're going 300 miles, so you can do that in probably, you know, good 6 hours. And where are you heading? Are there any major cities you're driving through and those types of things? Eric, bikes don't have lights at night most of the time, or reflectors too. Yeah, there's a lot of cyclists out there who do not have lights on their bicycles. They're not wearing reflective clothing, those types of things. But at one and the same time, there's a lot of pedestrians who are wearing dark clothes, and I am guilty of that when I walk at night. But I'm very aware of other cars and those types of things when I'm walking at night. And I don't trust cars. You know, I love car drivers. I teach driving. I teach road safety, defensive driving, those types of things. But I am very leery of other people driving cars because I'm vulnerable as a pedestrian. So I'm very careful about what I do. Bridget, I hope you have a good holiday. Rick, yes, and you, my friend, as well. Have an awesome holiday. All the best. Ross, and the cruise control keeps your speed steady, so that you said it, but you still have to steer the wheel. Yes, you do. It is not self-driving mode, cruise control. No, it holds the speed. That's it. Retired, you're in North Carolina going to Maryland, mostly on the interstate. Okay, yeah, so retired, you know, as long as you're on the interstate going from North Carolina, you are going to be just fine, my friend. You know, you're going to go through some of the major cities, and, you know, just take your time, keep your space. And, you know, I think that if you go Saturday, I think you're going to be just fine, because there's going to be a lot more congestion, a little bit more congestion, those types of things. But I still think if you just head out during the daytime, you're going to be just fine. So yeah, have a great trip, my friend. And it's going to take you about 3 hours, so you're going to be good. Okay, Marion, Rick, hello, Marion, my friend, how are you? And late today because I got in traffic due to a crash on the roadways, and yes, that happens. That happens indeed. Be careful through DC. It's pretty wild. Yes, there's going to be a lot of traffic, and especially when you go through the bigger cities. But, you know, the other thing about most of the cities there on the East Coast, in Washington, DC and whatnot, they're going to have ring roads around the major part of the city. So you can take the ring roads, or, you know, if you're feeling brave and bold, as I used to when I was driving truck, just drive through the center, because, I mean, it's all interstate anyway. So there you go. Having new tires was a big help. Yes, tires are something that I do not ever scrimp out on. I just buy new tires, and I try and buy the best quality tires that I can, because, you know, that's basically what you're riding on. You're riding on a little patch about this big. So you want the best quality tires you can have on your car for sure. Ross, and I would buy white shoes and a white shirt for the night if I was a pedestrian, because I want drivers to see me. Yeah, or the other thing, Ross, and you can just get yourself one of those high-vis vests. Those will work for you too, as well, to keep you safe at night. Marion, my pet peeve of the day, people put your headlights on in the dull weather. We cannot see you. Yes. I don't think you're going to win that one, Marion. You know why? Technology. Technology has done people in because people think that they have daylight running lights or they have the automatic setting on their car and it's not quite dark enough to turn the lights on the car. But you're right. They need to turn the headlights on, but the headlights aren't on. They think that they are, but it's just the daylight running lights and your taillights aren't on. So you're absolutely right. In overcast weather, for you living there where you live in Vancouver, in the greater Vancouver area, and where I live here in the interior, that's what you need to do. You need to turn it to the on position because your taillights aren't on and you are not visible to other traffic. But technology, unfortunately, has done us in. Especially dark cars. Marion, I want to tell you something. They're almost all dark. Even the white cars are not white, especially right now at this time of year with the amount of dirt and grudge and slime and that sort of thing on our roadways. Elevator, my pet peeve, get out of the left lane when someone comes up behind you and wants to pass. Yes, indeed. I think that's a lot of people's pet peeve out on the roadways for sure. Kev, I-95 between Richmond to Florida is pretty good, actually. Yes, it is. Any one of those north-south interstates, I-95, I-75, they're really good north-south, okay? Marion, yep, so annoying. Indeed. If you're driving in a major storm with lots of rain, it doesn't hurt to use your four-way flashers. Kev, please don't. Please don't. It's very, very annoying. We know that it's raining. The rest of us who are on the roadway with you, there is nothing that is more difficult to drive in is when you're driving in bad weather and you're already trying to concentrate and you got this vehicle in front of you with the four-way flashers. So please, I do not advocate four-way flashers in bad weather. If it's that bad and you can't drive or you're not comfortable driving, just get off the roadway somewhere where it's safe and you can do that, okay? Your lights, taillights are enough. You don't need the four-way flashers. The rest of us who are on the roadway with you, we know that the weather is bad, okay? So I do not advocate that. Unless something, and just I leave it for being broken down or being stopped on the side of the roadway and those types of things. Emily, what's your advice for people who come up super close to you in the rear of traffic stoplights? If I move forward more, I'm then putting myself close to the car in front of me. Yes. Just, Emily, hold your space, okay? Keep that one vehicle length in front of you. People are going to do that. They're always going to tailgate you. They're always going to stop too close to you when you're in traffic. So just know that. You got to just kind of focus on what you're doing, okay? I know it's annoying when they do that. They come up behind you and you can't even see their headlights. All right? Yeah, Kev, that's my opinion. That is my professional opinion about driving on the roadways. We all know it's bad. Okay, we know it's raining cats and dogs, whatever that means, raining cats and dogs. It's a funny saying. We know it's bad. We know that there's winter. Just keep your lights on because that flashing actually causes fatigue. And you're already fatigued enough because you're already driving in bad weather. You're already on full alert, right? You're on the edge and you just got that extra going on. And I know you think you're being safe and you're helping other people out, but you're not. You're just making them more tired. Jelly, how much experience to go from 0 to doing 1 to 2 hours to get to work? I'm getting my driver's license now at 40. Jelly, you're going to do just fine, my friend. Usually in terms of getting your license, you need kind of 6 to 8 weeks of learning and preparation in order to take your driver's test and to go in and get your driver's license. Now, once you get your driver's license, 1 to 2 hours drives to get to work, it's not a big deal, especially if you're not doing 2 hours all at once. I would suggest in the beginning that you kind of take a break every half an hour, but as you get more comfortable, more in the vehicle, more experience, more driving, it's going to get easier and those types of things, right? And you're going to be able to read traffic patterns and those types of things. And you're going to be less fatigued. But in the beginning, as with doing anything, it takes a lot of energy, right? A lot of time. You got to figure out what you're doing and reading traffic patterns, and it's a new skill and whatnot. But, I would say with, once you get your driver's license, kind of 6 to 8 weeks to get your license. And then after that kind of, 6 to 8 months of driving, you're going to be a lot, it's going to be a lot easier. You're going to be like, oh yeah, this is no big deal at all. Right. But in the beginning, it's going to be it's going to be some more fatigue and whatnot. Mallory, you could have made a driving in the rain video here yesterday with all the rain and wind that we had yesterday. Awesome. Well, I'll have to come to the Maritimes and shoot that video, Mallory, for sure. And you, my friend, you're feeling better, are you? You're out of the hospital, or are you still in the hospital, my friend? Rawson, are night driving in the city easy because of the street lights? Rawson, night driving is easier at night, yes, but you still have the challenges of pedestrians running out, jaywalking, those types of things, all the hazards and whatnot. It's not as easy, but it is, it's easier driving in the city than it is driving out in the country for sure. But saying that, with more light in the city, you have more hazards in the city that you have to pay attention to, right? So there are challenges to driving at night, period. As one smart driver said some time ago, that driving at night is like driving on another planet, because we lose half of our ability to see at night. Mallory, an interstate is a freeway in the United States, and it simply is two words, inter and state. So it means, inter means between, so between states. So the interstate system in the United States runs north-south and east-west. And odd-numbered freeways in the United States are north-south. Even-numbered roads are east-west, and 3 digits are a spur that usually goes off the main freeway and into the city and those types of things. It's a little more complicated than that. There is a video here on the channel that explains the U.S. freeway system, the interstate system there in the U.S., but it's essentially a freeway in the United States. It's the simplest explanation. So, and it's very organized. It was built in the 1950s under Eisenhower. There is some thinking that the United States interstate system, the freeway system, was designed for Americans to escape large metropolitan cities. But I don't think there's a lot of, for Americans to escape large metropolitan cities in the event of nuclear attack, was what some historians have said. I'm not sure that that was the reason for the interstate system in the U.S., but maybe during the height of communism, the height of the Cold War in the 1950s, it might have held some merit, but I think there were just other reasons in terms of trying to build a transportation infrastructure in the United States of America. Kev, ending in 0 or 5 are the major ones, like I-95 and I-40. Yes, they are. Cario, when waiting to take a left turn at a green light and there is heavy traffic, it is frustrating when at times people honk at me for not going in the middle of the intersection before turning. Yes. Carrie, people are going to do that because people are convinced that they're right and they think they should move into the intersection. But as long as you're, nose at the edge of the intersection, you're going to do just fine. Just ignore other people, what they're doing, and those types of things. And, keep yourself safe for sure. You got to do what makes you safe when you're driving. Yes. And again, what Marion's saying and what Carrie is saying is the other piece of social driving. Driving is a social activity, right? We have to get along with other people on the roadways. Motorcycle riders, kids, scooters, pedestrians, trucks, trains, trams, those types of things. All those are part and parcel of social driving. And the pressure to hurry up and go is very real when we're driving, all right? And, people are going to honk at you, right, when you're driving, and they're going to telling you to hurry up and go. This is part and parcel of social driving. And if you do something wrong, they're going to tell you, right? They're going to police you, and they're going to tell you in no uncertain circumstances. They're going to give you the finger. They're going to tell you you're number one, and those types of things. So know that that peer pressure in driving is a very real thing. No, Marion, I'm feeling well. Yes, I am well. No, all good. Getting ready for holidays. Yes, looking forward to it. Mallory, I'm feeling a lot better. I'm not in the hospital anymore. I'm back home, and that is awesome. That is so great to hear, Mallory, that you're feeling better, my friend. Emily, what's the difference between a freeway and a highway? Emily, usually those two terms are used interchangeably. The difference between a freeway and a highway is a freeway does not have intersections. It is a limited access highway, okay, is what a freeway is, the definition of a freeway, which is confusing because the word highway is in there, but a limited access roadway is what a freeway is. So a freeway doesn't have intersections, it doesn't have slow moving vehicles, it has on and off ramps at certain places, whereas a highway will have intersections, it will have slow moving vehicle, farm machinery, industrial equipment, those types of things. Cyclists, it'll have pedestrians, it may have sidewalks along the highway and those types of things. So that is the difference between a freeway and a highway. Limited access roadway is what a freeway is, okay? So I know that I put up a question about highways there on the community tab a couple of weeks ago, and a lot of people were thinking that it was a freeway or an interstate and those types of things. They're like, why are there slow moving vehicles on an interstate? They can't be out there. No, a highway is something different. It's not a freeway. If I'm specifically excuse me, referring to an interstate or a freeway, I will say interstate or freeway. All right. Jim, be on your best behavior. Roadblock season. Yes. Please don't drink and drive anyway, even at the best of times. But now, this time of year, there's going to be a lot of road checks out where they're going to be checking to see if you've been drinking and driving. Awesome. So, parking lots. Okay, it's a busy time of year. Everybody's shopping. Malls are going to be busy and packed and those types of things. So, take your time. Park near the back of the parking lot. You don't have to find a space right up at the front of the door. Sometimes you might have to drive around a couple of times to actually find a parking lot. Last week, a couple of weeks ago, it wasn't even Christmas time yet. I mean, we're still a couple of weeks out. I don't know why I was thinking that I was going to get a parking space closer to the door. I ended up driving around, and then finally I ended up driving to the back of the parking lot and just parked and got out and walked to where I went. Because the other piece is that up near the door, it's not just that there's a lot of vehicle traffic. It's also the fact that there's a lot of pedestrians up there walking around, and kids and families and those types of things. And you have to deal with that hazard when you're in the parking lot as well. So it's just safer and easier to park near the back of the parking lot and then walk to the shop that you need to go into to get your stuff and whatnot. And know that that's going to happen, right? So you're going to get a bit of exercise when you go into the malls and parking lots. Take your time. Know that this is going to happen. Make the transition. This is the other piece about it, okay? Make the transition. So if you're at home and you're like, oh yeah, I need to run out and get a few things for Christmas. I forgot this Christmas present, or I forgot some stocking stuffers and those types of things. Sit in the vehicle for 30 seconds and go, okay, I'm driving now. I'm not still thinking about wrapping Christmas presents or what I'm going to have for dinner or what recipe I'm trying to make or those types of things. I am now driving, and when I get to the mall or parking lot or wherever, it's going to be busy and it's going to be crazy, and I'm going to have to deal with that when I get there, okay? So, Emily, not safer if you're a single mother and it's getting dark. Eric, who is the hardest to shop of your kiddos for Christmas? Are you done shopping for them? Eric, I am done shopping for my kids. It was actually fairly simple. My kids are older now, and I mean, they've got most of everything that they need, and they don't have video games, so I don't have to buy them video games. But I just basically bought some really nice bath towels for each one of us from Santa Claus. And then my daughter wanted a sweatshirt, which was easy. And my son, so both my kids, my mom, their grandmother lives in Ontario. And when they turn 12, you can fly by yourself when you're 12. So they each, when they turned 12, they got a trip to Ontario for a week to spend with grandma. So this year, my son turned 12. And so it's his year. So that's his Christmas present, is he got the flight out to visit grandma for a week. He wanted to see the snow. And so hopefully there's a lot of snow in Ontario when he gets out there. So that's what he got. So it was pretty easy to buy with. Now Tracy, on the other hand, that's a different story. That's going to be a little tougher. So yeah, just let me know who you're having the most trouble to buy for. Somebody was saying the other day that one of the chocolate shops here in town, I'm not sure what the name of it starts with a P, but anyway, the chocolate peppermint bark, I think, is the chocolate you need to buy. So yeah. Emily says there's no snow there as well. Elevator fan, I always use cruise control when driving on the interstate. And yes, love cruise control on the interstate. Love some good music on the stereo or a good story, you know, good audio story. That helps as well when you're driving in interstates and freeways and whatnot. Emily, been crazy warm for this time of the year. Yeah, and it's been unseasonably warm here as well. This year, they even had to postpone the opening of the 2 ski hills here, and they haven't had much snow at all here. So it's been unseasonably warm. Now, on the other hand, as they were saying in the weather report the other day, that other places, Latin America and whatnot, that it has been crazy cold there, unseasonably cold for them, because the warm air that's here because of El Nino is pushing out the cold air, and it has to go somewhere else. So there we go. So Purdy's, yes. Yes, that's the chocolate place. So it's the chocolate peppermint bark is going to be the big winner if you're buying chocolate for people. Corey said that it took quite a while for snow to arrive there in Winnipeg as well, which is unusual because Winnipeg, the nickname for Winnipeg is Winterpeg. They get a good amount of snow in Winnipeg, and as well, they have some very harsh, cold temperatures. You know, it's -30, for weeks on end in Winterpeg. They're very used to that. Yeah, Eric says no Christmas there, no snow there as well. So yeah. Kev, there's lots of road construction projects happening where I am everywhere, and it helps having no snow. Yeah, and there's some places that you go where the construction project, they've been working on it forever, it seems, like infinity and beyond. I'm going back to Calgary just after Christmas, and you know, you go into Calgary coming from the west traveling east, and as you come in on the Trans-Canada, it seems like as long as I've been traveling to Calgary now for the last 5 or 6 years, that the construction is still happening there. That it just seems that it's never going to end. Yeah. Michelle, any tips on maintaining proper space when someone cuts you off in front? Happened to me during my G test in late November. Still passed. I slowed down gradually, but not slamming on the brakes. And yeah, Michelle, usually what happens, exactly what happened to you, is that when people cut in front of you and take that space in front of you, they're going faster than you. So that you just take your foot off the throttle, let them carry on, and then, you know, you're decelerating a little bit and they're accelerating a little bit, so it's going to open that space up again. If people cut you off, you just want to reclaim that space in front of you again as quickly as you can, and you did the correct thing that you need to do. Just take your foot off the throttle, you decelerate, they're accelerating, and that way they're not going to be in that space very long. You just need to reclaim that space. Kev, direct connection in South Jersey has been 10 years so far. Yes. Yes. Yeah, and there's some places, the Coquihalla Highway road work of time. Yeah, there's just some places that you go and you travel there and you're like, are they ever going to finish this? This has been years and years and years they've been working on this. Yeah. So, people, Christmas time, shopping, snow and ice. One of the pieces that people say to me, you know, this is controversial for some people, that they think that gearing down is the way to do it on slippery conditions, snow and ice. No, use your brakes, okay? For most of you, just use your brakes. I don't know why you would gear down to slow down a vehicle in this day and age. I mean, you know, I know that vehicles are more expensive to repair, but why are you using a $15,000, $20,000 drivetrain to save $1,000 brakes? Use the brakes. And the other piece is you're going to have a lot more control about it. One of the questions I asked the other day, and this is a misconception about ABS brakes, if you come up to a corner and you're making a turn, now this is the piece about driving in the wintertime, is braking and steering are two separate actions, okay? You have to brake first and then steer and turn. All right, so you got to, so for example, it's icy snow on the roadways. You're coming up to the corner and you're going to turn right. You got to get your speed down before you get to the right-hand turn that you're going to make, and then make the turn, and you're going to be coming around the corner. Now, a few people have said to me, oh, you have ABS, you can just hit the brakes and go around the corner. On snow and ice, you can't do that because the ABS will just prevent the wheels from the brakes from working at all, because what happens is the wheels start to lock up on the slippery conditions, and the ABS will just kick in and kick in and kick in and kick in, and you'll just go straight through the intersection. So you got to brake first, get your speed down, and then turn and go around the corner. And Corey's put up the video on ABS brakes. People have a misunderstanding of ABS brakes, especially if they haven't driven with ABS brakes in the winter time, okay? And know that in the winter time, I dislike ABS brakes immensely, because if you get down any kind of slippery conditions, the ABS just kicks in and the brake pedal will grind, it'll shudder, it's going to make noise. And when it does that, you could potentially keep going through the intersection. So make sure you slow down back from where you actually want to get stopped, and then creep up to where you want to get stopped. All right. Team, I think about this often when I gear down to anticipate a traffic light. Gearing down is what I learned when I started driving. Yeah, and Tim, you're not the only one, and I was the same. For years, I geared down, and then I was in a truck with a driving instructor, applying for a job where I was working at a driving school, and I start gearing down. He's like, "What are you doing?" I'm like, "What do you mean? What am I doing? I'm slowing the truck down." He's like, "No, just use the brakes." That's what he said to me. Just use the brakes. And then, of course, I was reluctant initially, because I'm like, well, this is what we do, don't we? We gear down in a manual transmission. And then I thought about it afterwards, and I was like, yeah, why am I using a $20,000 drivetrain? Well, in a big truck, it's actually, a $50,000 drivetrain. It's like, why am I using a $50,000 drivetrain to save $3,000 brakes? The math doesn't add up, right? And not only that, you have much more control with the brakes than you do with manual transmissions or shifting down in an automatic transmission. And now, a lot of people had a go at me about this. They're like, oh my God, you can shift down in a manual transmission on snow and ice and you'll never lose control. Well, that's okay. However, in a tractor trailer unit, they do studies. Obviously, they do studies. They've done studies to show that most truck drivers lose control of the rig when the tractor kicks out from underneath the trailer. So essentially what's happened is the back of the truck is locked up and it kicks out. And this is the reason why in big trucks they tell you to turn off the Jake brake if you're on slippery conditions, snow and ice and those types of things. Because what happens is you come up, you hit a patch of ice, the Jake kicks in, and the auxiliary braking, that Jake brake, there's enough braking from that it will lock up the rear tandems, and the rear tandems will kick the tractor out from underneath the semi-trailer. And this is why I tell people it's the same principle in a car. If you're on slippery conditions, you come up and you're like, wah, and you're like slowing down using the transmission, you could potentially lock up those back wheels on ice, and then the back end kicks out and you've lost control. Now, it's pretty easy in a manual transmission. You just push the clutch in and disconnect the drivetrain, but still there's that potential, right? Retired, what should drivers keep in their vehicles when driving long distances in the winter time? Retired, in this day and age, especially, you want to have your cell phone charged, right? So that way you can call for help if you get stranded or those types of things. Now, you can put a survival kit in your vehicle if you're out on the highways or interstates. Now, on the interstates, you've got a lot of traffic. It's not like you're driving on a mountain road, far removed from other people and those types of things. As my late father-in-law did years ago, coming down from northern British Columbia in the middle of winter, and broke down on the roadway, and of course didn't have a survival kit in the vehicle, and the vehicle wasn't running, and he's on a deserted highway in northern British Columbia where it's like -20. Fortunately for him, somebody did come along, within a short space of time, within an hour, and helped him out. But if you are on these remote places, highways and those types of things, far removed from traffic or other people that can help you out, you definitely want to consider putting a survival kit in your vehicle. Medications, prescription medications, non-perishable foods, pots for water, you know, so you can melt snow, candles and those types of things, blankets and whatnot. Now, in your case, retired, like I said, you're going to be out on interstates and those types of things. Definitely a cell phone charging cable, medications. You want to take a bit of food with you. Definitely have some water available. And then, you know, I did say prescription medications. Make sure that you have sunglasses. Make sure you have prescription glasses if you need either one of those to drive, especially in the daytime if you need sunglasses and whatnot. And then I think Corey put up the video for us on the survival kit if you want to look at that or explore that any further. Okay. Tim, cell phones aren't much good in some places in British Columbia. Yes, and that is absolutely true that there are some places in the mountains that you are not going to get reception. So that's, if you are in those places that don't have cell phone reception, then you definitely want to consider putting a survival kit in your vehicle. And the other thing, you know, jumper cables, traction mats, sand, a shovel, tow strap, you know, to pull your car out. We don't use cables anymore, chains and whatnot. You see all those fail videos on YouTube where people pull the cowling off the front of the car and those types of things. So yeah, all of that in your vehicle, definitely. Okay. Marion, thank you so much. Excellent. Awesome. Yeah. Tim says he takes his ham radio on long trips. I don't have a great deal of experience with ham radios, but I have seen them on television and movies and those types of things, and they are very useful. So that will definitely help you out. Retired, you're most welcome, my friend. You as well. Have a great holiday. What goes in a winter survival kit? Corey's put up the video there for us, and if you want to have a look at that, get more information about what you should put in a winter survival kit. As Tim was saying, you could get to some places in the mountains where they do not have cell phone reception, so you're definitely going to want to put that in there. If I'm driving on back 2-lane roads in the wintertime and it's cold, then I'm definitely going to put a survival kit in the vehicle. And you can purchase some of these like at Walmart, some of the, you know, Home Depots and those types of things. And I have one that I purchased some years ago, and it just sits in the back of the car, and it's got a shovel in it, booster cables, traction mats, and those types of things. So yeah, definitely consider that. But you know, for the most part, if you're driving along interstates and you're in populated areas and whatnot, definitely just a charging cable for your cell phone in case you break down, and then you can call somebody and whatnot. So that's what you need. Eric, I did not know ham radios are still around. If you have it in your car, how do you power it up? You probably get a converter kit to have that powered up in your vehicle. Yeah, no, some people, Eric, still use ham radios for sure. Cario, once I watched when the car in front of me got hit because the other car cut him off. Always makes me a little nervous when someone cuts me off really closely. Yeah, and unfortunately people do that. And you know, they're not paying attention, they're making mistakes, and it's just a matter of getting your foot off the throttle and reclaiming that space in front of you to keep yourself safe. Marion, how do you turn the ABS on in the car? Marion, the ABS, great question. The ABS is automatic. It works automatically. And what I would say to you is, if you haven't experienced the ABS already, go to a parking lot or some roadway where there is very little traffic. Drive down the roadway at about 30-40 kilometers an hour, and then just like hammer the brakes on like really hard. You're not going to lock up the tires. You're just going to engage the ABS, and you're going to get shudder, you're going to get noise, and it's going to go. And that is normal. That is your ABS braking system, and it just prevents the wheels from locking up. Tim says that ham radio mobiles run on 12 volt DC, and you can put a magnetically mounted antenna on the roof. Lots of hams still around today. So there's still a pretty big community of ham radios around. So yeah, that's an option as well if you're going out into the wild on driving on backcountry roads and those types of things. Excellent. Yes. So ABS brakes. Okay. Any vehicle in the last 25 or 30 years, they're all going to be fitted with ABS brakes, and ABS brakes are just there automatically, and they're there to prevent wheel lockup in hard braking situations. The idea is that you can preserve steering on the vehicle, and they have proven that they have reduced traffic crashes and those types of things. But they're there, and I just don't think that they're really great on snow and ice and slippery conditions. And there's been too many times that I've been on ice and snow coming up to an intersection, and I get the brakes on, and then the ABS is kicking in, and then I'm still moving forward and still inching into the intersection. It tends to make you a little unnervy when that happens. Tim, back next week. Have to go attend to pulled pork in the oven. Merry Christmas to all, and to you, my friend Tim, as well. Thank you for stopping by. Always a pleasure, my friend. Merry Christmas, happy holidays. Mallory, on long road trips, I like to listen to music. Yes, listen to music, listen to podcasts. Me personally, my personal thing for long road trips is listening to audiobooks. Love audiobooks, and the piece of that is now you can download them on your phone, ebooks from the library, or you can just, if you have an old CD player in your car like I do, you can go to the library and you can get the books on CD and you just listen to them in your vehicle as well. So of course all of that is free. You don't have to purchase them and whatnot. So Eric, what are my thoughts on studded tires? If you're running up and down to the ski hill, I think that studded tires are definitely worth the investment, Eric. They definitely have a place. If you're just running around town, you don't need studded tires. But if, up and down to the ski hill, you're running on hard pack all the time. Hard pack is not something that a lot of places have anymore, but we still get, we get hard pack in the mountains. Hard pack is essentially, they can't scrape the snow and ice and they can't melt it off the roadway. So essentially what happens over a period of time is you get a layer of snow and hard pack ice that's this thick on the roadway, and that's what you're driving on. You're driving basically on ice. So that's going to happen, okay? And studded tires are definitely going to help you out in that situation. Otherwise, you're not going to need them, okay? Marion, don't audiobooks distract you though? No, Marion, I don't find that audiobooks distract me. Actually, I find they keep me more engaged because I'm actually engaged in driving. I'm not actually bored to tears. I've got something, keeping one side of my brain going. So if you're in city traffic, stop and go traffic, those types of things, then yes, it can distract you. But when you're out on the highway, I find that it actually keeps you more engaged when you're driving. Eric, in Colorado, yeah. Eric, if you're going up and down to the ski hill, but if you're in town in Denver or those types of things, then you're not going to need studded tires. And the other piece, Eric, that you have to look into about studded tires, you have to look about whether they're legal or not. Where we live here in British Columbia, you can have them on your vehicle from October to March 31st, I believe. But then after that, you have to have them off your vehicle. Now, there are some downsides to studded tires is that if you're driving on dry pavement, they're incredibly they're incredibly noisy, so keep that in mind as well for studded tires. A lot of times a good set of snow tires is just going to do you just as well in the wintertime, okay? Awesome. So how are we doing? We're doing awesome here. So excellent. So I think retired Rick, does all-wheel drive help in rainy conditions? Retired, yes. All-wheel drive is definitely going to help you in rainy conditions because again, it's like the ABS system. It's going to detect wheel spin in the vehicle, and it's going to redirect power to the side that doesn't have that wheel spin. So it's definitely going to help you in rainy conditions, and this is the reason for all-wheel drive in vehicles. And I don't know enough of the technical side of it, but I do know that a lot of vehicles are going to all-wheel drive, and it's definitely going to help you out in rainy conditions, slippery conditions, those types of things. So yeah. Marion, they're very noisy on dry roads. Yes, they are. Yes, they are. I hear them around town right now because we don't have any snow, and a lot of people have their vehicles fitted with studded tires. They are noisy for sure. All right, we're going to leave it there for tonight. Congratulations, you passed the driver's test in the last couple of weeks. Awesome. And Emily, does all-wheel drive turn on by itself? Yes, all-wheel drive, Emily, is working all the time when you're driving. It works off the computer system, and the computer system is directing power to wheels and detecting wheel spin and lockup and those types of things. So yes, it's automatic, just like ABS brakes. Legacy with all-wheel drive, awesome. All right, so, and if you got a driver's test coming up in the next week or so, good luck on that. drop us a comment down in the comment section, and be sure to subscribe to the channel. And remember, pick the best answer, not necessarily the right answer. Have a great day. Bye now.